Hey, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me today. See if these lights will stop making so much whiny noise. Need some better lights. Anyway, thanks for joining. All is good. Why? We're just about to get started. Where did the other remote go? Hang on. Go. Let's see if we can get this going. Okay. Another day. Today is Wednesday. It's the first day of November 2023. So that's pretty awesome. Rabbit, if you do that. Well, we got a lot of good things to talk about. It is a Wednesday, so that's a Big Idea Wednesday. And I got a pretty interesting idea to bring up to you today. This may sound familiar to some of you, perhaps. Wow, look at all the people in the chat. I'm so glad that we got people in the chat. People in the chat on Rumble, people in the chat. Oh my goodness, what is going on here? There we go. Okay. Well, you can now, for some reason, it's putting the top of my computer on my, what the heck? Well, maybe that'll fix it. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. We're talking about big ideas because it's a Wednesday and not thrown off at all by any of this tech stuff. Not me. I just barrel right through it. It has to do with the topic of the day. That's right. We're going to dig into the centipede's dilemma. The age-old conundrum where a centipede tries to explain how it coordinates all its legs and promptly forgets how to walk. Classic, right? I mean, who knew centipedes even had to worry about their walk game? But hey, there's a valuable lesson here, and it's not just about emphasizing, yeah, they are the original creepy callers. It's not just about empathizing with our multi-legged friends. No, it's about the perils of overthinking, folks. It's the paralysis of analysis. You've heard that. The am I doing it right syndrome. Think about it. Ever been on a date where you were so busy calculating the perfect witty response that you ended up just awkwardly laughing? Yeah, that's the centipede's dilemma. Strikes again. And no, they don't care how smart you sound. They just want a pleasant conversation. Trying to make sure we're live on Rumble. Come on. There we go. Got to keep refreshing. You got to keep refreshing if I'm not showing up. Or how a simple act of walking, you've done it for years, and now suddenly, whatever you're thinking, do I swing my arms the same way as my feet or opposite? What's going on here? Next thing you know, you're tripping over your own shoelaces. Centipede's dilemma. Am I doing this right? So why do we even care about this? Because it's a reminder that there's an art to finding the right balance between overthinking and total autopilot mode. It's like the Goldilocks of decision making. You want it to be right, not too hot, not too cold, just the right amount of thinking. So in a world where we Google everything from how to boil water to how to parallel park, we need to remember that some things don't require overthinking. Sometimes we just need to remind ourselves of the friendly centipede. We need to trust our instincts and go with the flow. So let's all strive to find the sweet spot between am I doing this right and just do it. Because in the end, the centipede's dilemma is a reminder that it's better to be confident in your steps than to trip over your own thoughts. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffee Nuance Show. Best censored commentary news show live right now. Flame on. So yeah, Centipede's dilemma. This was interesting to think about. But it's this concept that illustrates the idea of overthinking, right? We don't want to overthink things. And the idea is in the story, right? Yes. Hey, Centipede, how do you walk with 100 legs, right? How do you do that? And the Centipede starts thinking about it and how he coordinates all those things. And it gets overwhelming, and now he can't walk anymore. So this is just a way to illustrate overthinking and the negative impact it can have on your performance when you're doing activities. So yeah, as soon as the Centipede starts to think about it, he becomes unable to walk smoothly at all, right? And we can do that ourselves. It's all about the tendency to overanalyze or overthink activities that we usually do automatically, which can lead to confusion and poor performance. So, like, here's an example for that. You're having a conversation with someone, casual chat, and when you start thinking too much about what you're going to say next, you become self-conscious and the conversation becomes awkward, right? Or if you're dancing, right? You go hit the dance floor. I don't know, does anybody do that anymore? But let's just pretend you hit the dance floor. It's a wedding, you know? You get out there, and as soon as you start thinking about too much about the moves that you're doing, your dancing becomes stiff and a whole lot less fun, right? So what we need to do is to trust your instincts, you know? For things that you've done 1,000 times, just trust your instincts, and muscle memory knows what it's doing. And sometimes it's best not to second guess yourself. The other thing is to stay present. Instead of overthinking things, focus on just being present in the moment. This can help you perform better in social situations, sports, and other stuff. And mindfulness, because it's 2023 and they tell you that mindfulness is good for everything, right? But mindfulness techniques can help you reduce overthinking by grounding yourself in the present and allowing yourself to react naturally. So if you're having issues with this, you can break down whatever you're doing into smaller steps, but you get the idea. But I thought that this was a very kind of an interesting way to illustrate this issue that a lot of people have. It's the Centipede's dilemma. So now you have a name for it, and now when you have a name for something, it makes it a lot easier to discuss it with other people. So there you go. Go forth on this Wednesday and talk about the Centipede's dilemma if you like. But if not that, we got a number of stories to get to today. The first one is about my favorite congressman, George Santos. You know, they're trying to expel Congressman Santos for lying during his campaign. I mean, really? Expelling a congressperson for lying? Isn't that like expelling a fish for swimming? Representative George Santos is facing expulsion from Congress due to his indictment and allegations of campaign lies. House Republicans introduced an expulsion resolution requiring a 2/3 majority vote. Santos claims to be a victim, but the House can expel members for disorderly behavior to protect its reputation. Yeah, the reputation of the House of Representatives. Well, that's rich. Speaker Mike Johnson must act on this resolution, and his options may jeopardize the Republican majority in the House. The House Ethics Committee has been investigating Santos, and recent federal charges and a guilty plea by his ex-treasurer have prompted 5 Republican colleagues to push for his expulsion. So the little graphic that I have here is from the Maurice Sendak classic, Pierre. Are you familiar with Pierre? This was one of my favorite books as a kid. So here it is. Yeah, Pierre, a cautionary tale in 5 chapters and a prologue by Maurice Sendak. So this is about a little boy that doesn't care, and all the time, that was his phrase. You know, he could pour maple syrup in his hair. Pierre said, I don't care. And so everything that happened, he just said, I don't care, I don't care. And so anytime I hear someone like George Santos saying, I don't care, I'm just reminded of that classic book. Spoiler alert, in the end, when Pierre gets eaten by a lion, he does care. He eventually does care. Fortunately, this is a book for kids, and so the lion can just spit him up and he's fine. They keep the lion as a pet. But whatever. Whatever. I love this story, and I love thinking about George Santos whining, I don't care, I don't care. You're going to kick me out of Congress? I don't care. But really, it is rich. They're going to go after Congress people for lying? Really? They're going to have to go after, I don't know, what, 80% of people in Congress? I would think. Anyway, next up, we got a little something happening down in San Francisco. And I'm intrigued. You know, folks, it's really something when people are resorting to high-tech license plate covers to dodge the long arm of the law in San Francisco and in California. I mean, aren't Californians supposed to be experts in innovation? They're literally trying to reinvent the wheel, or in this case, the license plate. San Francisco authorities are taking legal action to prevent the sale of illegal license plate covers that allow criminals to avoid law enforcement. City Attorney David Chiu and Police Chief Bill Scott will announce the legal action targeting 4 websites selling these covers designed to obscure license plate numbers. These electronic covers can be found on Amazon, Walmart, eBay, and Etsy, but they're illegal in California. Officials believe these products are popular among those involved in illegal sideshows and urging large retailers to stop selling them to California residents. So, actually, I was so excited about this. I thought, wow, I need one of these. That I went on Amazon just to find out how it works. Let's check this out. Turn down the volume. So here we are. We got the license plate, and you see the cover goes up at the touch of a button. So you got a little remote. You hit the button, and it goes up pretty quick. Pretty quick. So that is the product. Illegal now in California. But this one's $54 on Amazon. It looks pretty cheap. It looks like it would, I don't think it would last very long. But that's an idea. You know, I did look at, apparently there's some license plate covers that you put some kind of cover on it, and it's like reflective, and you can't take a picture of it. And then you go to the comments, and all the comments say, this doesn't work, it's a scam. So a lot of what I read about the issues with these license plate covers, the ones that apparently won't allow cameras to take pictures of them, well, here's a little key, okay? If you can see it with your eyes, so can a camera, okay? Now, I understand that, yes, if there's a flash, it might, reflect the flash. But if you can see the numbers and the letters with your eyes, so can a camera. So those don't necessarily work very well. I think about this, and I think back to the old school James Bond, where he would flip the switch and the license plate would flip over. That was kind of cool. And I've seen that they do have some of those for sale as well. Over $100, though. Over $100. Yeah. So that's tricky. I would like one. I would like one of these things that I could just shut off my, cover my license plate. We've got, we don't have that many cops here in Portland. So I'm not concerned about the cops. But what they do is they set up these traps. They got like a speed trap that they set up with a van. They'll just park a van on the side of the road, and it'll see how fast people are driving, and then it'll just, take pictures of you driving too fast. And yeah. And that's really easy to do when they've lowered the speed limit everywhere in Portland to, there's a street by me, it's like 25 miles an hour, and it's like a major street, right? Nobody can drive 25 miles an hour on the street. It's impossible. There's not a single vehicle that drives that slow. And so they've set up this system so that everybody is breaking the law all the time. So it would be nice if I, just too late and I see one of those dumb white vans that is clocking me driving too fast, if I could just hit a button, cover it up real quick. Might be worth it. If it could get you out of one ticket, it'd definitely be worth it. And the real issue, or the resentment that I have, is that because we really don't have any police on patrol driving around, just pulling people over for not having license plates, there's a ton of people that don't even have license plates on their cars at all. They're just driving around with no license plate. And so they can get away with it. They can get away with it. But the law-abiding people, well, they'll get the ticket. So this is essentially, in my opinion, a tax on people that are following the law. And you're like, oh, but you're driving too fast. That's not obeying the law. It is, right? I think if you're driving in a safe manner, you're not really breaking the law. That's my opinion. These artificially low speed limits that they put on, they do that just for control. It's just control. It has nothing to do with safety, as far as I'm concerned. But now, my idea, and if anybody's an engineer out there, my big idea for this, what I think would be really good is, because you don't want to get caught, right? If you have one of these on your vehicle and the police pulls you over, you're in trouble. So my idea is to have some kind of enclosed, plastic dome or something over your license plate, and have a little thing in there that you can press a button and it can release like some smoke or some kind of fog, like psst, just really quick, to cover up the number, obscure the number. But then you just press another button and it opens up a little thing and the fog is released, getting rid of the evidence. That's my idea. I don't even know how I would do it. But if you have any ideas, let me know. Maybe we can make a fortune by selling these in California. Yeah, so let me know about that. But next up, speaking of Portland, we got more P-Town news. Folks, I heard about those teachers in Portland going on strike. Yeah, they're demanding a 23% raise over the next 3 years. I mean, I get it. We all want more money. They should take a page out of politicians' playbook. Instead of a strike, they should just vote themselves a pay raise in the dead of the night while no one's looking. That's the American way. Yeah, Portland schools in public schools in Portland, I can read, are closed due to a teacher's strike, as no agreement's been reached between the union and the school district on a new contract. The strike is aimed at ensuring that the district meets the teachers' demands for better conditions, including compensation, student discipline, class size, and housing for homeless students. Yeah, got to have that too. The union's requesting a 23% cost of living increase over 3 years, while the district's offering around 11% over the same period. The strike is part of a larger trend of strikes by workers across various sectors in recent months. So, yeah, all the kids are home today in Portland and tomorrow and Friday. So, wonder what'll happen with that. You know, it's interesting that this coincides with the state of Oregon. It was maybe about a week, 2 weeks ago. They announced that, they're going to extend the thing that to graduate from high school in Oregon, you don't have to pass any tests at all. There's no competency tests at all to make sure that, you've learned how to read at a 5th grade level or something. No, because they determined that that was racist and it affected students of color more often. So that's a racist policy. So therefore, the state of Oregon is no longer going to require anyone pass anything to graduate high school in Oregon. So not sure what that makes a degree worth. I don't know about you. Did you have to take like a state test for your degree? I know I did in New Mexico, and frankly, it was a joke how easy it was. Honestly, I think probably most 8th graders could pass the test, in my opinion. But none of that here. But meanwhile, teachers are asking for a raise. And I get it. I mean, inflation is everywhere. And every time you see this, we just gave another however many tens of billions of dollars to Ukraine or Israel or whatever. Every time that happens, they don't have that money. They're just printing it. And when you print more money, it means the money that you have is worth less. That's how money works. Which is why you may consider, not if you have any money, you may consider holding it in something other than the U.S. dollar, because the U.S. dollar is losing its value every single day. Which is why teachers want more money. Frankly, it's priced me out of going to restaurants anymore. I'm not even going to restaurants because, you go someplace, you go to a taco truck, right? And a burrito at a taco truck is like, $12, $15. What's going on? It's like it's some beans and a tortilla and some, I'm not even talking a fancy one with guacamole and everything. I'm just, just like a cheap meat and some beans and some maybe some rice and some cheese. $12-15 for a burrito. It's priced me out. No more for that. I understand teachers wanting to strike, wanting more money, but I gotta say, based on my own experience with Portland schools and people that I know who have kids in Portland schools, I don't think they're getting their money's worth at all. I really haven't heard any positive stories. It just looks like it's a big babysitting operation, as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, another day. We got some more corruption. I just got to tell you about it. Yeah, they say, folks, they say politics is a family business, but the Bidens took it to a whole new level. It's now, news story, it's $40,000 in a loan repayment from his brother Joe. They must have missed the chapter on subtlety in the family playbook. Yeah, so 2017, Joe Biden received $40,000 in potentially laundered money from his brother and sister-in-law, disguised as a loan repayment. This money was linked to a Chinese company with Communist Party ties. The questionable money trail involves multiple steps and raises concerns about the Biden's family business dealings. This comes after a $200,000 check from Joe's brother also raised suspicions. These findings were discovered through the House Oversight Committee investigation into James Biden's records. And I know what you might be thinking. You're like, Tom, didn't you talk about this just the other day? I'm like, yeah, that was a different case of laundered money actually being skirting around the IRS. See, that's a little trick. If you receive money, right, the IRS wants their piece. But if you call it, oh, no, they're just paying me back, this is a loan repayment, then there's no taxes on that. So the problem with all these loan repayments is there's never any evidence that there was a loan to begin with. It seems to me that, like, see, I'm not saying that Joe Biden should be thrown in prison for all of this. I mean, he should. But I'm not saying that. I think he should be thrown in prison because he just flaunted this and they didn't even try. They didn't even try very hard to hide all of the corruption. They didn't even try very hard. You could come up with a way to at least make this money look legitimate. But, yeah, loan repayments? Come on. No one's buying that. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is perhaps if your news feed doesn't have stories like this, maybe your news feed is part of the problem because they're keeping you uninformed intentionally. So if you're not seeing the story on MSNBC, well, there might be a reason. There might be a reason. Anyway, next up, this is an interesting story about something happening in Ecuador. So, in Ecuador, they've turned animal tattoos into gang symbols. It's like a real-life animal farm, but instead of all animals are equal, it's all tattoos are potentially gang-related. So if you're planning a trip to Ecuador, just remember you might want to cover up that cute panda tattoo. Yeah. So in Ecuador, animal tattoos like tigers and eagles have been adopted as symbols by criminal gangs, leading to people hiding their ink. Tattoo artists are also cautious about their clients' gang affiliations. These tattoos signify loyalty to the gangs and can be a matter of life or death in the violent prison system there. In this dangerous environment, even tattoo artists are at risk, as they may face repercussions for covering up or altering gang-related tattoos. So, yeah, this is kind of scary. It reminds me of a story a friend of mine from China, who I believe is a member of the party, but he was saying that in China, I forget which is which, but on one arm, if you had a dragon, on the other arm, a tiger, and it's a specific arm for each one, that is a sign of being part of a Chinese mafia. And so that's a very, very scary thing if you see someone with those tattoos on their forearms. That's a sign to, go the other way. But yeah, Ecuador, they're doing these tattoos with animals. That's interesting. I hadn't heard of that before, but why not? I know in LA, right, the different gangs were using different NFL teams or hockey teams, jerseys or merchandise to signify their gang status. It's hard really to criticize someone doing something associated with gangs as being like a really stupid idea, because clearly I think that's what a normal, rational person, that maybe didn't grow up in that culture would think. I can't think of anyone, like raised middle class or something with two parents would be like, yeah, that's what I need. I need a gang tattoo. I want to join a gang. But gives you something to think about when you see some people here. You know, a lot of people from Ecuador have come into the U.S., and that gives you something to think about if you see tattoos of animals on them. You know, you might want to be a little more cautious around them. But you know, we need some good news, so let's get to the good news of the day today. That is November 1st, also known as Dia de los Muertos. You know, folks, on Dia de los Muertos, people make altars to honor their ancestors and pets. It's a beautiful tradition that really celebrates the connections we have with those who've passed on. But I can't help but wonder if someday they'll be making altars to our old smartphones, like here lies iPhone 5, the one that never quite made it to iOS 11. Okay. On Dia de los Muertos, people honor their loved ones, including ancestors and pets. The holiday blends various cultural customs and incorporates indigenous Mesoamerican spirituality, European Catholicism, and African traditions. Celebrations can vary with altars and ofrendas, featuring pictures, candles, and offerings, such as candy. The altars serve as a way to remember and celebrate those who have passed away. People may share stories, favorite foods, and passions of their loved ones. Some also engage in creative activities like making altars, kites, or traditional foods to commemorate the day. It's a time for reflection, remembrance, and connection with the past. So, yeah, Day of the Dead, and the idea, I've seen this, and actually some of my friends do this. They're trying to stay in touch with their Mexican heritage, and so they make up a little altar kind of thing, just a nice little display where they put up framed pictures of family members that have passed on, with flowers and candles and things like that. And the idea is this is a day to remember them. This is a big holiday in Mexico, and there's lots of days that you take long walks to churches. I know there's different cathedrals that have celebrations on this day, different activities around it. And then, of course, there's all the cool merch, of course, right? Which are, the sugar skulls, I guess is what they're called. You're familiar with these, right? You're familiar with all of these. Let's see if I can pull this up. All these decorated skulls. Very cool. Very, very fun art. Something that's easy to do. You can pick up little skulls to paint. Kids like painting them. It's always fun. But anyway, these are the Day of the Dead floral skulls. It happens on this day, the day after Halloween, right? All Saints' Day. Feliz Dia de los Muertos. Exactly. So it's a communal celebration of life for everybody. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I'm not going to pretend like I know a heck of a lot about it because I'm just looking at it from the outside. But it was a big deal when I was in, a year ago, I was in Mexico City at this time. And it was a big deal there were, you know, parades that I talked about on the show last night. But big celebrations, big displays. This was a big deal. In fact, if you ever want to go to Mexico City, it's very hard to get an Airbnb around this time. They're all booked up. They're all booked up. So, you know, if you want to go down for this celebration, you're going to have to book early, like months in advance, because they're all full. In fact, one of the places that I originally booked well in advance, then he ended up canceling it because I think he wanted friends to come stay with him. I don't even know how that's legit on Airbnb, but I guess whatever, they can get away with it. But yeah, I will look at some of my friends' Instagram feed today, and they have these little displays set up, and of course they're sharing it with everyone. So that's something I think kind of good news, and it may be something that you might want to incorporate into your life. You know, whether you're Mexican or not, this seems like a kind of universal thing. To remember people that have passed on is universally, I think, something that we want to spend time doing. We want to remember those that came before us and honoring them. And this seems like a nice way to do that. So, you know, maybe you can check that out. Anyway, stick around for the after show. I'll be going through all your comments on both Rumble and on YouTube. Now, as a reminder, I'm doing a show at night as well. Midnight Americano. It's at 9 p.m. on the West Coast, midnight on the East Coast, Midnight Americano. And I try to make it a little bit lighter, and hopefully I'll prepare more than I prepared last night. That was kind of rough. But anyway, we have a lot of fun. If you're up that late, come by, hang out, have a good time. But I will be back tomorrow at noon on the West Coast here for more news of the day and whatnot. But stick around for the after show. I'll see you then. Peace. Hey, thank you for sticking around. We've got to check out the chat. What's going on? Apothecary John coming in strong. The American flag. Hashtag Rumble Gang Gang. Glad everyone is here. Oh my goodness. You know what I forgot? I forgot to post that I was live. Let me do that right now. And if anyone is on Twitter right now, I am posting a link to this video. If you could do me a favor, go like it. And maybe retweet it. That would be awesome. Because I'm supposed to post these and I forgot. Oh, I forgot. We're live right now. Okay, so I've posted the link to this. So hopefully we can get a couple likes and get a couple shares. Wow. Internet seems to be really slow today. Really slow. Okay. Anyway, centipedes are the original creepy crawlers. That's true. Look at the Moon says, I think that as we get older, we have to work harder on concentration. It's an age thing. Don't trip over the dog. Exactly. Did you invent the phrase centipede dilemma, Tom? I did not. It is like an old story, a fable or whatever. I don't know the exact origin of it. But the idea is that one animal saw the centipede with his 100 feet or 8 feet or whatever the centipede has and said, hey, how are you able to coordinate all that? You know, you got the You got this left foot going here, and you got this right foot going here. How do you do that? It seems complicated. And the Centipede started thinking about it, started to try to explain how he was able to coordinate his 200 feet, and it became too complicated, and the Centipede couldn't walk anymore. So that was the story. And I think it's kind of a good way to explain. You can't try to overthink things, because when you try to overthink things, it just gets more complicated, and it doesn't help. It's not helpful. So, no, I didn't come up with that, but it is a good name. Where the Wild Things Are author. Yes, Maurice Sendak did write that, Where the Wild Things Are. But Pierre was one of his lesser known books. I thought it was a great book. The other one I love is it Chicken Soup with Rice? That was great. That was great. Thank you to the Chimera Flea for reposting this so quickly. So I appreciate you for reposting this on Twitter, on X, really quick. That was good. But yeah, Chicken Soup with Rice. I love the song, you know, because you can do it with anything. So it's like let's say you got to sweep, right? So it's sweeping once, sweeping twice, sweeping chicken soup with rice. Anyway, I think of that Maurice Sendak book often when I'm cleaning up. And if you know the book, you'll get the reference. Otherwise, I just sound silly. Why blame the manufacturer if someone covers their plate? Shouldn't they go after the person using it? People could just make it DIY. You know, I agree, right? Why go after the manufacturer? You should be, and you know what? You should be able to have a license plate cover. It's the use of it which is against the law. So I don't really understand that either, but yeah. I like when my phone warns me of speed traps. They just shake people down for money like the mob. Yeah, pretty much. I now unfortunately have to put on Waze when I'm driving to work, just to remind myself that there's a red light camera coming up or there's a speed trap. Because a lot of times, you know, you're driving, you just kind of forget about it. Even if there is one and you pass it every day, you know, sometimes you're concentrating on other things while you're driving, you know, like the road, making sure you don't hit other cars or people. Important things like that, and then you forget that there's a speed trap. So that's, yeah, often I have to have the dumb app on, so it will remind me that there's a trap ahead. James Bond license plate. Yeah, I do like the James Bond license plate, and I have seen them. They're actually on, I don't know if I saw them on Amazon or not, but you can buy the ones that flip, and you can have like 2 license plates and have it fold down and flip, like that 60s James Bond movie. Maybe it was the 70s. But yeah, you should only be charged if you use it, not for owning it. I don't know. Because there could be legitimate uses for it, right? If you're parked in your driveway and you don't, there's no requirement that when you're parked in your own driveway that people can see what your license plate is. There's no requirement for that. So you should be able to flip a button and cover your license plate, in my opinion. Now, one thing that these sideshows, and I kind of resent the name sideshow, because what they are is they're closing down streets and bridges and intersections and being very dangerous, doing donuts, people surrounding them, cheering them on. making it so that emergency vehicles can't get through, making it so terrifying local citizens. So calling it a sideshow is just a misnomer, in my opinion. We need to come up with a different name for a sideshow. But I forgot my point. That happens sometimes. Let's see. That's for equality. Now dumb people can feel smart too, just like the real ones. Well, that's about the state of Oregon renewing the thing that no kids have to pass a test to get their degree. I do remember that I had to take that silly test, and it was such a joke. Perhaps I can get a hold of one. Now, so much stuff is on the internet. Maybe I can get a state aptitude test, and we can just see how simple it is. But yeah, it is the soft bigotry of low expectations. Congratulations, Oregon. You just degraded from hard bigotry to soft bigotry. I agree. To do this and then claim that you're doing it because it disproportionately affects like black kids is really insulting to black kids. These stories, they just I don't think it helps anything. I think it hurts. I think it hurts. I can't afford to eat out, so my culinary skills are being honed. Well, that's good. Work on your own culinary skills. In fact, it's much better, just to try to cook from scratch. I told you that I'm trying to not eat anything out of a box, right? So anything in a box, I'm not even buying. I'm not even bringing into my house. And I think it will be healthier for everyone if we all learn to eat, if we can all learn to cook a little bit better. Sometimes those taco trucks put out some quality food. They do. I like those trucks. And, here we have lots of, they call them food court pods or food courts. Something like that. But we have a number of them where there'll be a little, like an old parking lot, and then they'll have a dozen different trucks all together. So you can go there. And that's kind of nice because, maybe you want Mexican and someone else wants Chinese and someone else wants Korean. You can get them all in the same place. So that's kind of fun. Is it just Portland or all of Oregon? I got ADHD. The strike is just the city of Portland, Portland Public Schools. The requirement is for the entire state. So that is our illustrious governor has made the decision that people of color are not able to pass a basic test, and it disproportionately affects them. So what she has decided to do is just do away with the test. And to me, this sounds just extremely racist to me. Look at the Moon says, I know where Ecuador is. I'm going to pat myself on the back. Yeah, I did do something the other night where I talked about learning geography of South America, and Ecuador was in that. So that was good. I think those people that watched that stream will know exactly where Ecuador is based on that. So from the cut to the big guy, Uncle Sam got cut out. I wouldn't care about that, except I want the same deal. Yeah, I'd like the same deal too. But the thing is, you can't really learn anything about how Biden does payoffs and launders money because they're so bad at it. It's just so transparent. It's so simple that if you want to get away with it, you don't look to the Bidens because clearly they're not doing a great job at hiding all of their corruption. They aren't a gang. This is of the gangs in Ecuador. They're a social club that beats and robs non-members. Okay, that's a different way to look at it. So it's like a communal celebration of life for everybody. Yeah, that's the Day of the Dead. I like the colorfulness of it. I certainly did too. I got a t-shirt. Maybe I'll see if I can find it when I was in Mexico City. Very bright and fun. Big skull. Yeah, really, really fun. Had I really been together, I would have had some pictures from the celebrations that I went to down there. I'll see if I can find those. The night show is great. Good commentary, good comments. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that, Big Daddy. John is not a bot, or is he? Got an ongoing joke there. I'm impressed you remember the childhood stories. Ever read the Frog and Toad series? Yeah, I love Frog and Toad. They were good. I made fermented my own kefir recently. 1 gallon's worth, much cheaper than buying it at the store. Is it kefir? Kefir? That's the, it's kind of like a yogurt drink. Very good if you're doing keto, right? High in protein. I don't think I like it enough that I would want to make it myself, but it is very expensive. One thing that I have been making, I tried making banana chips, and I tried it in a food dehydrator, and they stuck. They just stuck. First, they stuck to the tray, and then I tried using it with a cooking sheet, and then they stuck to the cooking sheet. So maybe I need to make banana chips in the oven. I'm not sure. I haven't had. They've turned out okay, but I haven't had them be really good like the ones that you buy at Trader Joe's. So I'm gonna keep working on that recipe. Maybe I'll share the recipe once I figure out how to do it right. But I've done a couple batches that have not turned out great. And the other one is kimchi. I make kimchi because, frankly, it's just Napa cabbage, right? And chili pepper, pretty much. And it's so expensive. A little jar of organic kimchi, a little 16-ounce jar is like, I don't know, $8 now. It's getting insane. So I can, for about $20, I can make about 5 gallons worth. Make a whole bunch. So kimchi is something that you can make without having to spend the big bucks on that. Kefir is how you say it. Thank you, kefir. I have a dehydrator, but I haven't used it in a while. Can't remember if I did bananas or not. Well, if anyone has recommendations on the banana chips, let me know, because I'm still sorting that one out. Anyway, what's up with the YouTube comments here? Apothecary John checking in. Natasha, what's up? Good to see everybody. I always played the drums better when I didn't think about what I was playing. Oh yeah, that can be a real thing when you're trying to perform something. You can't really think about it too much. It even includes me talking to you, live streaming. I can't really think about what I'm going to say. I just have to say it. I just have to do it, because if I spend too much time thinking about what I'm doing, I can kind of become paralyzed in that. I have to refresh every 3 seconds here going back to Rumble. Oh, so some people were having issues with YouTube today. They're sorting things out. Every platform is sorting things out, trying to make things better. And I do think that the platforms are trying to get things better. I think that Rumble's getting better every day. At least that's my observation. We're getting those photo speed traps in California as well. Yeah. License plate theft is so common in California. Now we have digital license plates. Oh, that's true. I did do a story on the digital license plates that you can get in California. The issue that I have with the digital license plate is I believe the digital license plate tracks where you are and sends that information to the state. Now, maybe I misinterpreted something when I read about it, but it sounded to me like it has a tracking device in it. That's the last thing I want to do, is put another tracking device on my car permanently. And I know you may be thinking, Tom, your phone is a tracking device. Yes, it is, but I can turn my phone off, right? I can leave my phone at home if I want, right? But if you have a tracking device that is in the digital license plate, you're stuck with that, right? I'll add recipes section to the Discord. That's nice. Yes, I need to check on the Discord to make sure that the invite works. I haven't done that yet, but I'll try to remember to do that. So yeah, a number of people do hang out over at the Discord. Link in the description of the video, and I'll try to check it before tonight's show. Rumble throttles my comments. Guess I'm trying to say too much. I don't know, Big Daddy. Perhaps, perhaps you're only allowed to make 2 comments a minute or something. I don't know. But you could experiment and find out. And if you learn what that is, that's something that I can share with everyone. So, we're just trying to reframe things, right? If you're like, oh man, they're not letting me put in so many comments. Well, if you can figure out how many comments you can put in per minute, then that's something that you can then share. Now you've figured something out, and you have some valuable information that you can share with the world. And that's cool. If you can contribute to people understanding how things work better, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. But yeah, will you do a video on how to make kimchi, Tom? Probably. I need to make some. I haven't made some in a while. Everything has gone up in price so much. I tell you what, Napa cabbage has gone up an insane amount since I first started making kimchi, and it's cabbage. It's cabbage should be cheap, right? But yeah, that's gone up as well. But I should try to film some, because I think that would be a fun thing to see. It's pretty easy. You just chopping up cabbage, throwing in some like string, carrots that you've cut into little tiny pieces, and same thing with like some radishes. Throw it in water with a ton of sea salt, and then you make the sauce, which is just a red pepper. It is important, though, when you get the red pepper, I'll look and find out what the exact red pepper to get, but you want to use the Korean red pepper. You don't want to use other red pepper. It's not quite the same. So, at least in my opinion. Anyway, can't you use regular cabbage? Well, I just use a Napa cabbage, which is kind of regular-ish cabbage, but that's the traditional cabbage that you use for kimchi. iPhone takes infrared pictures of you all the time. I watch a video of it. Spooky. Yeah, I don't know about that. When I watch the Not Live show, it only lets me make 1 comment. Oh, interesting. Okay. So perhaps underneath the video, I will leave a link to all of the stories that I talked about today if you want to read about them. If you want to be like, oh, I want to read about this George Santos story, or I want to read about this license plate story in San Francisco, I always leave an archived link of all the stories that I talk about, and I post that as a comment underneath the video. So not in the live comments, but in the other comments afterwards. So you can go there and check out any of the stories that I talk about. But yeah, tonight I will have another show, Midnight Americano. Hope you can join me then. And that's all I got, but I'll be back tomorrow at noon with more news of the day. Hope you all have a beautiful one. Until then, peace.